Welcome everybody into The Score. As always, your host here, Avishai Darash. I've been saying this intro for 3 times already today, although it's a new episode, so you don't know it. Consistency is king. We're here in the studio again. I love seeing you watching us. I love spending that time with you. You know what we're doing here. We're talking to entrepreneurs. We're talking about arts and culture. We're talking about business. We're talking about everything that comes in between, and especially about what ticks and what makes the people move within themselves. And today I have with me Danny Veekens.
Hello.
How's it going, man?
I'm good. Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks
We're
for the invite.
also happy to have you here. Like we started before, it's always we have like a little conversation before that. I want to get to know you. Tell me from the beginning until that moment here in the podcast.
Ooh, wow, that's a long journey. I'll try to be concise. Grew up in a very little village in Brabant. Skateboarding and music and passion for music kind of got me into deeper into music. And to switch to another time, I studied journalism back in the days in Tilburg. And that's kind of where my passion for music and my passion for writing came together. And from there, I started working for a few magazines. Was the editor-in-chief for one of the magazines back then. And from there, I started my own music magazine as well after studying, called Defined Magazine, which was a hip-hop and jazz and beats-oriented publication. It's kind of like a passion project that completely escalated and got me into new places and new gigs and eventually into freelancing and becoming a music journalist. And that also led me to starting a label called Rucksack Records, which I started 5 years ago now, 5.5. And that brings me to the studio. It's kind of like, oh, no, not so
really
bad, not so bad. I skipped a few side tracks.
That was so quick, man.
Yeah.
So literally, how long was it? 20 seconds?
Okay. I could take more time. We have the time, of course.
I mean, listen, we have the time. We are not in a hurry.
We can go back. We can, take the time machine. It's up to you.
But I want to ask you, first of all, because you said something about skateboarding and music in that sense. What was the connection there for you? Let's start from there.
Yeah, sure. I think music came first. And I think skateboarding was just something we did. It's also related to what we talked about before. And growing up in a little village where nothing really happened. It was kind of like this snoozy little Dutch village with nothing happening at all. So as a kid and as a teenager, you look for things to do. I think in high school, that's where me and my friends and people from high school kind of bonded over. Just going out, skateboarding. And we weren't very good, but we did have a lot of fun. I think through that also everybody kind of got in touch with new music and different music in their own way. So I think that's kind of how that came together.
Yeah.
And maybe also kind of opened up to new sounds and new music. And back in the days, you had kind of the hip-hoppers, you had the metalheads, you had the punkers. And I feel like skateboarding brought people together back then. At least like different subcultures, maybe different than it is now. So I guess that's how a little bit came together for me, like getting deeper into hip-hop music. And from there.
And basically, like, because you were saying jazz, hip-hop, beat-oriented music, you started writing about it. Did you know that you want to become a journalist of music, or was it like a natural thing slowly that developed?
Yeah, I guess it's a natural thing. Like as a kid, I wanted to become a writer. So I did a lot of stories and kind of like this fantasy,
cool.
I don't know, Pokemon-inspired stuff, you know.
Nice.
So back then I had a naive childlike dream, like, oh, I want to become a writer. And then you grow up and then you realize that's not really a profession, I guess. Or at least for the chosen ones it is. I mean, no offense to writers, but it's not something like you study to become a writer or something. So then I was like, journalism is also very interesting. And I grew up and kind of got more interested in a bit more like topics and things going on around me. And so that attracted me in journalism. Not really with the intent to become a music journalist. But I think during my study in journalism in Tilburg, that naturally came together. So I had a passion for music, I was writing, and I was kind of exploring journalism and magazines and different media. And then I was like, oh, why not combine this and bring it together.
Because you studied in Fontis.
Yeah.
And for me, I know Fontis through the musical. because I worked with students that just graduated. We did a production a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I had no idea that they have also a journalism department or writing department.
Yeah.
Was it also, were they connecting also between like journalism and music journalism, or?
No, not per se. For some reason, music wasn't taken very seriously or something.
In Fontes?
Yeah, as in, there was like, if you wanted to do sports journalism, that was a thing. So you could do like workshops or classes around sports journalism. Politics, of course. But music was never, or at least in my time, it wasn't like a course or a workshop or a thing you could follow. But I think 5 or 10 years after I did it, I think they started like a music journalism course.
Okay.
Which always kind of irritated me a little bit. Like, if somebody wants to become a music journalist, why not cater to that? There was more people, of course, on that study with an interest in that. So yeah, it's kind of weird that you got like pushed into either sports or politics or like a general journalist.
Yeah,
So,
I wonder,
yeah.
do you know, I really wonder this thing, because of course, me also as a musician, we work hand in hand with journalists. Like we need the reviews, you need the music. There's this symbiotic relationship, you know. Do you have a new thing? I send it to them. I get a review. They write a story about it, whatever it is. And I was always wondering from which angle do they actually perceive the music, like a technical angle?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because especially also the music that we're making, the jazz, the more, let's say, ambachtelijk, you know, the ambachtelijk, how would you say, like craftsmanship, yeah, that it's like, it's really surrounded by the craftsmanship, like it's very detailed, subtle, all that thing. So how much is it being also taught to the journalists to really know the mechanics of the music?
In the sense of education, like a journalism school? Not so much, I guess. And not specifically about music, but in general, I felt like they could have taught us more about like going very deep into a subject. I think it's more like a general education on how to write and kind of like the theory behind it, or how to make television. Depends a little bit on the subjects you pick. So it's either print or it's television or radio or internet, which was kind of like this new thing back then.
Yeah, because you started, I guess, like you're 35 right now.
Yeah, so in 2007 I started.
Oh man, that was like just when social media started.
Yeah, it was like this new thing, and kind of like the financial crisis. No one knew. Yeah, print was dying, and look at us now, still reading magazines, still reading books. So it was a weird time, and also remember, because I started my own website, so I knew my WordPress and my HTML and the basics to that, and then you got like a 3-hour class by some old guy teaching you how to embed a YouTube video. It's like, come on. And that was kind of like the level, like, can't we go like deeper into what you just raised, like into understanding topics or subjects?
Yeah.
And for me, looking back, there's also like things I've written back then could have been much better with the right research or the right understanding, or before you interview a pianist, to kind of dive into that type of music, or maybe interviewing some other people about it. It was kind of lacking to me.
Because I guess this is something that I see also with my colleagues of like, I see this thing with getting reviews, or, you know, of like, okay, you want to be a non-bias entity as a journalist to really bring it to, because you have, let's say, responsibility for the public in that sense, but at the same time you're a person. Like it's a fallacy to think you're going to be non-biased. So you have your preferences, you have your let's say discriminatory thought of like, I like it, I don't like it, it's this, and then to which extent is the artist at the mercy of the journalist because of personal intrigues, or because the music is really understandable in that sense. You understand what I mean? Yeah. It's a thing that most of us, especially with our relationship with journalists that we have, of like, is he going to get the album or not? Is he going to understand? Is that person writing the review going to actually understand what I was doing, or is it just like, I need to fill in a quota for this magazine and, you know, just give it to me? Yeah. And sometimes great music suffers from that, or mediocre music actually gets pushed more to the forefront. Yeah. Did you experience that also?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe not directly, maybe more so indirectly, but it's definitely like also the question, and it's a very hard thing to answer and also very hard thing to admit to, but if you're the right person to write about it, because like you said, like the musician might come from a completely different background, and then the journalist, he can try to understand it and he can go into the research and the context, but at the same time he will never go as deep as you because you're the artist. In terms of background, or like I do a lot about hip hop and I love hip hop for a long, long time, but there's also a lot of criticism that hip hop is covered by journalists who don't get hip hop or who don't come from that culture, especially since hip hop became such a mammoth genre, like the biggest in the world. I mean, we don't have to talk about that everybody knows it.
Insane how big it is, influential.
Exactly. And all of a sudden hip hop is covered by journalists who 20 or 30 years ago wouldn't even cared, or and right now it's kind of like,
why do you think that happened actually with hip hop? I mean, it's a big topic, of course, and there are like cultural movements and all that stuff, but coming from, you know, underground clubs, you know, you have also the separation between East Coast and West Coast, which was a violent separation even between them. Why do you think that became so mainstream right now?
It's a good question. I think it was just like the perfect, how do you call it? The perfect big bang of different things. Like over the years, and it took, of course, a long time before it was accepted. And I mean, it's still being a little bit ridiculed sometimes if you look at mainstream media, or however you want to call it. It's even though it turned into the biggest, it's still like, oh, you rap, oh, you do the yo-yo thing. It's very, sometimes, very cringy to look at. But at the same time, why it turned so big, it's a perfect amalgam, I think that's the right word, of like fashion. You had the street culture, you had the rapping, you had the sampling, of course, plays a big part in it. And I think it started as a counterculture, of course, and I think from there, eventually countercultures turn into bigger culture because they fight something, and then eventually it might turn into a bigger thing. It's not the purpose of a counterculture, of course, but I mean, hip-hop's kind of, it always told the real story about life, and people resonate with that or relate to that.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's interesting that I saw actually a similar thing happening with jazz, to be honest. If you think about it, it was from looking at bebop, or from looking like how it evolved from the big band music that was basically dance music, that afterwards the musicians would go up to Minton's Playhouse or other clubs up in Harlem, and they would just play everything like really fast, as a counterculture, as a fringe of the fringe culture in front of just a few people for themselves, to the point of Miles Davis turning it into like this mainstream thing, playing in auditoriums in front of thousands of people. And it makes me think of, you either die the hero or live long enough to become the villain part, because hip hop was very similar to that. It was like fringe, small community, small this, and all of a sudden it's like, it's the thing that it was ridiculing. You know, it became all of a sudden this like mainstream conglomerate of just influence after influence, and I just find it interesting that we are kind of like playing with ourselves in that sense. You know.
Yeah, and I guess in a way, hip hop and jazz have kind of like a similar trajectory in that way. And of course, hip hop is also built off jazz to a certain extent, or to a huge extent.
Yeah.
And also with jazz, that you have different schools of jazz. So you have like jazz or hip hop that was inspired by jazz, and then you had the jazz inspired by hip hop, and you had like the post.
Absolutely.
It's super interesting to me to also see that dynamic between genres and between worlds in that sense.
I mean, you know, there are rappers I listen to, and it's like, this is like a sax player, you know, like the phrasing, the control that they have, the amount of work you need to put. It's like an instrument, you know, to be able to freestyle. It's a skill, a very high level skill. Yeah,
definitely. I think even Rakim back in the day said that John Coltrane was kind of like his North Star in terms of delivery and cadence and rhythm.
And he was the Coltrane is let's say the archetype of the perfect practicing jazz musician. Like in jazz school, we always, you know, in every type of jazz school, all the students are talking about how much he was practicing. There's all these like anecdotes, you know, that he would he would play it at a Village Vanguard, and then when McCoy Tyner with this quartet, McCoy Tyner would take a solo, he would go to the toilet and just continue practicing.
Oh yeah.
And then come
Crazy.
back and like play the head out.
Yeah.
You know? He would sit with his family on the dinner table and just do fingering the whole
Oh, yeah.
time.
Yeah.
The whole time. Listen, he was a master of his instrument, master of his generation. You can't. It's just insane what he could accomplish in such a short career. Also, we're talking really, and as a career, Joshua, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's 11 years that he just actually brought out music. It's insane if you think about it.
Yeah. And
Like-
also especially the body of work within that time. It's crazy.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Could you tell me a little bit about your label? Because I'm really interested to know about it.
Yeah, definitely. So it kind of naturally evolved from the Find magazine. We did publishing and writing, and back then we also did some compilations on vinyl in collaboration with HHV from Berlin. And I was in touch with a lot of artists, and they kind of kept saying like, "Oh, why don't you start a label?" And after hearing something for 10 times, you kind of start thinking about like, should I? You have like the comic thinking bulb, like, maybe I should. So that thought kind of kept running through my head, and I was at a certain time freelancing, and I was like, yeah, might as well go for it. I mean, I knew the artists who were working on new music, and we were looking for a label, and I was playing with that thought. So that's kind of the moment that I went for it. Still hip hop at its core, but the intent was not to be a hip hop label per se. It kind of goes into different directions. The subtitle is Mavericks Who Make Heads Nod and Jaws Drop. And that's kind of like the balance I wanted to get to. Like, it needs to make your head nod, kind of like beat driven, definitely hip hop driven. But at the same time, it needs to be something that kind of like makes your jaw drop, or at least impresses you, or make you kind of like pay attention. So that was kind of what I was aiming for. So the style, I would say, is hip hop, but it goes into different directions. We had some psychedelic hip hop records.
Yeah.
One of them was more jazz oriented with like a beat making type way of working. Is more like a comic style from back then, sampling old comics and old cartoons. So it goes into different directions, but it's always hip hop and mostly sampling at its core. And it's been around for 5 years now. And the intent was also to kind of, I'm a music journalist, so this comes kind of like, I'm programmed to look for stories, I guess, or for, the story behind music in that sense. So the intent was always to do proper press and promotion and PR for the artists and for the releases we're doing.
It's extremely important nowadays.
Yeah, even more so, I would say.
There's great music out there. I know we spoke about it a lot in the podcast, but there's really fantastic music out there that without the proper promotion, without the proper press, it just gets swallowed up.
Yeah.
There's just too much.
Yeah.
Too much music out there. Too many uploads. It goes through the same streamline. It's too much. And if
and everybody's fighting for the same attention or the same airplay.
Exactly. What do you look for when you sign a new artist?
It's a good question. I mean, in terms of signing, we don't really sign them in the traditional way. So that's also one part of the intent, to kind of have it fair and fair splits. And if people want to go to another label, then by all means, go for it.
So you do per project in that
Yeah,
sense?
per project.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like a long-term label deal in that sense, or not the traditional sense. I guess it's also a sign of the times. Like back then, labels were more like a traditional entity, and right now everybody has a label or can start a label.
Yeah.
So I guess that fits in to kind of work more transparently and more flexible with artists. And what I'm looking for, it's. I was also kind of thinking and asked a lot, like, oh, what's the thing that ticks you? It's like there needs to be something in there. I mean, to go back a little bit, if a release makes me curious about some more music, so say the psychedelic hip hop angle, for example, sometimes I hear the music and it's full of psychedelic rock samples, and the artist kind of teaches me about a completely new world, and there's so much in it that I kind of get lost in this rabbit hole, and it can go into different directions. But it means, like, if you're listening, you tumble down like a rabbit hole or this new world, or maybe a world you already know, but not as much as the artist who made it. So I guess a sampling aesthetic in that sense. There's always more to explore. Definitely helping the artist as well with finding the right story to push and promote, and how to tell the right story around this.
Yeah.
So I guess that's also what I'm looking for, not just music, and as much as I like great music as is, but definitely needs to be some substance to it, and that sounds maybe a bit wrong, but I mean, like a story to it. It needs to be an intrinsic motivation from the artist to make it, and it can be a very personal story. That can also be a very theoretical story about, I want to only sample this type of music. It can go into different directions.
And do you take any consideration of social media presence of the artist, or following, or number of streams?
Yeah, not so much, but in that sense that maybe I should, and then I would have become a better and more successful label.
I'm just asking. I mean, because
no, it's a valid question. This is definitely
a lot of labels. They it's like kind of like the gatekeeper is that. You know?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Like, oh, I need to see. You know, it's like. So for a lot of artists are kind of stuck. They're falling in between the chairs, as they say, in the sense of like, wait a second, you want me to be already in a specific place, but if I'm at that place, I'm not sure that I need you. You get what I'm saying? So I think what you're doing is very nice in that sense, because a lot of labels, they cannibalize, already on success of artists, and they kind of they latch onto them. And it's nice to hear that there are labels that, like, the first thing you said is the music. Instead of, I look at their social media, I see like the management, I see the this and that, and it's like, oh yeah, but there's also the music, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah, by the way.
There's this thing, music, right? The product,
Yeah, it is, and it's kind of like fascinating, and kind of like sometimes it blows my mind that that's the reality we're living in. I also attended a panel at Amsterdam Dance Event last year. It was also from a few different labels discussing A&Ring, distribution and stuff. And they also told about that they had a certain thing called visual A&R. So it's more like A&Ring from that perspective. Like, how do you look like? Do you make the right videos? Do you have a certain social presence? So more like the visual aspect. And then, like you say, the music comes second. It's more like, are you a potential TikTok star? And oh, by the way, do you also make good music? Which of course is valid. I mean, big labels have to find the next big thing, but I was just sitting there and I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely not how I work. So that's kind of like like a maybe wake-up call of a confirmation of what the label is about, and it's definitely music first. And of course you can't go into stupid decisions. And trust me, I've been there. But so you have to take things into account. But yeah, music would definitely come first.
Yeah, because I think this is like to be an island at sea of just confusion, like they say, in the sense of, what you said about this panel. You're sitting there, and then everybody's focused on the package, but the content. Oh, right, it's also that thing. The content. Which makes me also think about how people consume music a lot of times. It really changed in the last 10 years, for sure. In the last 5 years, it completely got revolutionized. I mean, the playlist thing, the fact that it's this thing that just runs in the background and not necessarily listening really to the details of what is happening, this like craftsmanship. You know, really going deep into the details of it. And I think also that a lot of artists, they get they have a misconception about how it works sometimes. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, everybody has the tools that the labels have right now at their disposal. Meaning they can market themselves, they can run the social media, this. And then the question is, what does the label bring to them as an added value? How do you see that?
Oh, sorry, that's a question. Sorry. No, that's indeed like a valid discussion. Like, are labels even necessary in this day and age? I mean, truthfully, they aren't. If, as an artist, you want to put in the time of doing promotion, writing your press releases, posting on social media, delivering your metadata, sending out records, doing your physical distribution, I can keep on going forever. You can do it yourself. You have all the tools, you have the tutorials, you have the means. Definitely more so than, say, 10 to 15 or even longer ago. Even with vinyl records, like back then, it was hard to kind of find a pressing plant, except for record industry in Haarlem. That was about it. Right now, you can knock on the door of many record pressing plants that can press your records. So artists can do that, but the question is, do you want to do that? Because that eats away time. You only have 24 hours a day. You want to sleep, I guess.
You're talking to someone that did it, and my last album, the most successful one I brought out, like in all the streams, like Spotify 600,000, and like in all of them together, if you put them all aggregate, it's like 1 million streams. It wiped me out, man. I was tired, you know. I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I was just like,
yeah.
It's the wheel doesn't stop turning.
Yeah, exactly. Let alone if you do another release or like 3 more, and then you have to do your tour, and then it adds up. And especially if you wanna, like you said, you have to understand what works and what doesn't work, and that also takes time. I mean, you have to do your research about why did this get playlisted, or why did I get 1 million streams and that song didn't perform at all. I mean, it takes time. So in that sense, a label is definitely necessary, because it takes away time for you as an artist to creatively do what you want to do. And at the same time, a label, or most labels, will have the background of 5 to 10 years or 20 years of knowledge or relationships, or they know where to go or how to treat a certain release. So I guess in that sense, there's definitely added value for record labels.
So that's the unique selling point in that sense of like, you can do everything yourself. You can, but let's say like this: I'm calling a drummer when I want someone to play drums on my album.
Yeah, exactly.
There is a limit to do it yourself thing, the DIY thing. There's also outsourcing work to others is also, it just gives you time and space to also really look into the craft. I'm a workhorse. I like to work and all that, but also I got to this like saturated point that I'm just like, I'm done. And now Joao is also a part of this project. I just did a solo piano album, also with 2 pieces of cello with the label. And I'm like, wow, it feels so different. You know, Traptic, I don't know if you know this label. It's like neoclassical. And I'm like, he mixes it, he takes care of distribution. Because he also has a stake in the game.
Exactly,
you know? And we really produced it together, which all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, this is actually pretty nice that someone takes care of you and does that. It was a nice experience to understand that, but also just one person, you know, so it's different. How much are you involved also with the creation of the music? Do you are you asking for masters already that are done, or are you also a part of the process of creating it?
No, not so much a creation. I would say most of the times I get involved when the mixes are done, or at least the project kind of had shape and the mixes are done, and then it's like, oh, I have a new project in the works, want to take a listen. And then I take a listen to the mixing, or to the mixes, I mean. And from there I am involved with a little bit like picking the right singles, or like, hey, maybe we should go for this, or maybe the track ordering and sequencing. For certain projects I am involved a bit earlier, but mostly to think about featured artists or that type of process. So I'd say more that side. I also deliberately don't want to get involved in the creative process in the sense of I'm not a musician, I'm not a theoretical skilled musician at all. So who am I to tell you that this should be longer or this chords should be different or something. So I don't want to get too much in the way of the artist. And sometimes it's more like practical things. So I have had instances that a song is very long, like, hey, maybe we can split it up and turn this into a skit or whatever. It's kind of like the finishing touches, but not really creatively, as in
SEO,
how the music is made.
It's also SEO if you think about it. It's much as cold as it sounds. The search engine optimization. It's this. What you're saying. It's all like very experience-based things. You know, is it easy to write the name of the song? Very simple. Like, if not, it's going to get swallowed. You know? If you're not a big artist with millions of listeners already and you already have the movement behind you, it's also, of course, it's just my opinion about it. As a working artist, it's kind of like I was talking about with a colleague of mine of make them compact. The tracks, make them compact, not longer than 3 minutes. People are make them compact. In the show, rip them apart. It doesn't matter. People come and see the show. It's a completely different experience. But in that Spotify, streaming, Apple Music, all that stuff, make sure that it's fitting into the playlist even. Think about it. Think further than, I want to express myself artistically. Of course, you express yourself artistically. But eventually, I think a lot of artists, they want to get on stage and be able to play their music and live.
Yeah.
Unless this is not what it is. Unless the artist says, no, this is just what I want to do these strips. I want to release it, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It depends what your intent is. If you want to express yourself and that's it, yeah, by all means, go for like 50-minute long solo, whatever craziness, or
50-minute solo.
No, I mean 50-minute songs, solos would be.
No, it can happen.
I mean, even that, yeah.
It can happen. I mean, we're releasing also now an album, basically from 2 live shows, from the BIM House and Lantaarnvenster. And it's based on the album Between Hope and Despair, but it's going to be called Between Two Mirrors, because it's like the show is mirroring itself.
Yeah.
You have really long tracks there, like 7-8 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's live.
Yeah.
So it's also, again, the intent, what you say, all that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it can work. So we had one release 2 years ago, and like the main song was 8 minutes long, or 8:30. And it was such a good song that we were like, okay, this has to be the first single. And we went for it, and it was actually also played on the BBC, and kind of we kept pushing it. So it can work. I mean, it didn't break or became like this hit single in that sense, but it's kind of funny that you can still make something work. And it was even an original idea to have like a 35-minute version, like go against the whole rules of journalism and music promo. But
I mean, Bohemian Rhapsody is a great example to that. Yeah. I mean, this is like 7 minutes and 40 seconds. I'm could be completely wrong, but like, there was like no way that we're putting this. No one is going to play this, and it became such a cultural phenomenon. If you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, on paper it's the most horrible pitch, like it's this crazy opera, and it worked. Yeah.
Exactly.
So there's some lessons to take from that, I guess.
Yeah. And how do you get pitched new artists, or do you do like your own research, or people send stuff to you, or what is the
it's funny.
What is the process?
The thing is, it's mostly like a one-man label. So I of course work with artists and different designers every time, and with the distributor. So there's always kind of like a team effort, but still it's essentially just me in that sense. So I don't have the bandwidth to go for a lot of releases, also because I want to be involved in the press cycle and I want to do the proper promotion. So usually the process is that through one artist, that artist kind of introduces me to another artist, or some other artist finds out about his release and he contacts me like, hey, I found out about your label through him and you might like my music. And it's kind of like this natural, if I draw it out on this white wall, it will be kind of like this weird diagram of people who know each other and forwarded each other either to me or found out about each other's release, about the label.
How many artists do you have in the label currently?
I think I released from 16 artists or 17 or something.
Cool.
But yeah, what I mean is I would love to kind of scout and like be in the trenches and kind of like find new artists I want to work with, but sometimes I just don't have the time for it, which is kind of a shame, because I have to take my time a bit into account, also combined with my freelance music writing and my work. So
for who do you write usually as a freelancer?
Bandcamp, I've done stories for them. Tracklib, so there's a website offering music for sampling. That was kind of like a fixed one. Wax Poetics did a few. We Jazz Magazine, Sound of Life by KEF. And those were kind of a few go-tos, what I've written for. And the Dutch music magazine I've been doing recently.
Did it happen also that you signed artists because you wrote for them, or like reviews?
Yeah, I guess indirectly, because it's definitely like to go back about the scouting thing. Sometimes I have interviewed artists or I have written about artists and I'll go deeper into their music. And there's definitely been instances that I was like, oh yeah, this could fit on my label. Didn't really happen for the reason that I kind of have to take my roster into account, but there's definitely been like hinting and flirting or like being in touch about potential releases. So there's definitely ways of finding artists through that as well.
What would be your wish for the label? What would you want if we lived in Kingdom Danny?
Kingdom Danny.
Yeah, what would you want actually?
For my label or just
For your, of course, yeah, for
For
your
the
label.
label.
What is the thing that you envision?
What do we love? I mean, it's definitely like a beautiful struggle in the sense of pressing vinyl. It all costs money, of course, and there's definitely a limit to it. Also, because I'm like a one-man label, I don't have the funding or don't have like a big bag of money behind me. So maybe this should be like my big bag of money, and then I just can go wild. I mean, there's always a balance between creative freedom and what you want to do versus the releases you can do. So if I had infinite time and maybe infinite money and then just work with whoever I wanted to work, that would be amazing. But time is limited, resources are limited, and you kind of have to make your decisions.
It's good to be deluded sometimes. I think it's good. It's good. Like, I think any type of great idea or great like enterprise started from someone's delusion. You know, in that sense, like you gotta. I'm saying, imagine you would tell yourself every morning like, I'm gonna get that bag of money in that like infinite time.
Yeah.
Every day you tell that to yourself every day instead of like, yeah, but I know that it's not possible and this.
Yeah.
We gotta be deluded sometimes, right?
Definitely. I think starting a label is delusional by itself. Like
doing anything creative is delusional.
That is true. Like making music is
it's like why would you do that?
Yeah,
it's like
could have gotten a solid job. Yeah, like,
you need
same,
to work.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
So in music journalism, and then sometimes you look at successful ad agencies or whatever. It's like, we're in the wrong business, the wrong passion. I wish we only were passionate about, I don't know, commercial work or fashion or real estate. But
yeah, but I mean, the thing is, it's I think maybe it's like a different set of values, because you're an intelligent guy, you're well spoken, all that. You could do something else in that sense. Like, let's say if you really just went for that bag of money, but you would have to trade it off for something else.
Yeah.
So it's always that trade-off.
Yeah. And for the record, I mean, I don't mean a bag of money as in to get rich, but it's more like about...
No, it's resources.
Yeah,
You're
exactly, to be able to release whatever.
No, you're talking about resources.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
understand you completely. I'm
cool.
the same there. I wish I had unlimited resources. I would not even think of, I don't know, buying cars and houses. I don't care. I would just produce and not have that like worry, of like, yeah, but this has to
what
this
if
and what if and is this going to be successful and is it going to flop or is it going to, especially with the situation of music nowadays, that it just turned into a commodity instead of an art form. It's something people just consume. And with the presentation of AI, I just saw clip of Rick Beato filling in prompts for, Rick Beato? So he was filling in prompts for this indie singer. He created the poster of the indie singer within a few seconds. He created the lyrics and he created the song. And I was talking about it with a producer friend of mine, and we were like, this is going to take weeks to put it together. In reality, it will take years because you need to find the right singer that looks like this. She needs to be easy to work with. And then she needs to be willing to do this thing. And then you have to produce the whole thing. You have to mix it, master. It was literally industry grade, like, fuck.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's scary and weird, and it feels like the wild west right now because nobody knows and everybody's kind of like in complete panic mode and trying to find their way in. I mean, it kind of reminds me of, I mean, I'm not that old to have experienced it, but sampling back in the days was also kind of like this wild west. There weren't rules. It was kind of like free for all, and that brought us some classic masterpieces like Beastie Boys or De La Soul.
Yeah.
And after that, when the major labels caught wind and kind of put a halt to that with all the legal complexities and the
I understand that
money
also.
streams. Yeah.
I understand because the source material was made through hard labor, you know, and then, I mean, again, AI is basically plagiarizing. There is no other way of looking at it.
Yeah.
It took a copious, enormous amount of data that we cannot even fathom.
Yeah.
And kind of like processed it and brought you something new. But without that data that was created by hard labor before AI, you won't have it. So is it is it okay to do it or is it not? Are regulations going to come into it or not?
Yeah.
People are losing their livelihood every day now with that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's insane. And also where it's heading, it's crazy. And also people worrying about like their music or their work being used to train AI. And I saw also a music lawyer yesterday in a video who also said like all those models have been trained and they scraped the whole internet already. I mean, they're already trained. They don't need new input to train itself. And of course, that's kind of like a discussion if you want to opt out and if you want your music to be used for training AI models. But they're already there, and it's a question like, can they track and trace where it came from? If your music was used, and
my music was used 100%.
Yeah, 100%. But can it be traced, or can it be proven, or how can it be traced? And if so, how will it be compensated or licensed? Or also in hindsight, I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, it's tough, because even this podcast here, we are able to produce so much. Of course, we have the hard labor that we're doing. But we're using AI platforms to cut the reels and to upload everything.
Yeah.
So I'm bitching about AI, but it's like it's saving us thousands of euros every month.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning I would cut it, like in this like program and put the subtitles. It would cost me half a day for like one reel. And now all of a sudden we just feed the whole podcast, and after 10 minutes we get 30 to 40 reels translated, cut perfectly with the angles. I'm like, okay, so am I dancing with the devil or not here? Because we are feeding the podcast into these into these engines constantly.
Yeah.
So we are feeding that beast.
Yeah. I will see all lookalikes in 10 years, and I know who to find. Yeah.
There's just no podcast at some point. Like after 2 years, we're just like, Avishai talking to Danny about new stuff. And it's like 1 hour and a half of just like a bunch bunch of subjects.
They have my face now, so here we go.
Exactly. Even I can tell you something that my family is doing right now. Like it's this project that we're doing. It's just in the beginning of it. My brother passed away 3 weeks ago, and we're taking like all the data from him, everything, and we want to feed it into an AI engine, and we want to create an avatar for his, because he has very, very small kids, like babies. They will never get to know him. And we want them to be able to just even talk to an avatar, And it's like, hey, get in with the times. It's like, it's actually possible to do that.
Yeah.
His husband was like, yes, let's do it. I want to be able to like just feel him one last time. It was very tragic death, and it was like, I just want to feel him last time and like just be able to talk to him and this. And I was like, okay, if this is what we're using it for, why not?
Yeah, that's the thing. And this cliche, like that somebody asks, like, is technology good or bad? And that answer is yes. I mean, it's good, it's bad. It can go both ways. And I guess
it's
it's
a good
the same
way to look at it.
Yeah. So I guess the same with AI. It's not like AI is bad. I mean, it can definitely be good or be used in useful ways. And if it turns into a tool, then also as a music journalist, like those AI transcription services, if you have like an audio interview, like say if I talk to you for 3 hours, it takes me like 5 hours to kind of transcribe everything by hand. And that's also what I'm still doing, because I'm kind of like, call me old fashioned or call me naive, or maybe it's my way of working, I don't know. But I also tried feeding it into AI and then get the transcript, but usually there's a lot of errors or the sentences don't match, and it's a mess. And I prefer to just edit as I go.
Okay.
But by the time that AI is so good or so smart that it gets me a conversation completely edited, or at least like foolproof, which saves me 5 hours to put in different work or different tasks, by all means, I'm going for it. But yeah, for me, it's not there yet. But yeah.
Would you ever sign an artist that does music with AI?
That's a broad question. I mean, maybe if it's in an artistic way. There's definitely like artists who do it in like an interesting way. I wouldn't sign artists who make generative AI and then that's music, but it could be an interesting study. Like there's a jazz band from Berlin, Move 87. They work with a lot of technology and techniques and also a little bit of AI. So they feed the music they're playing into an AI model and then what they get, that's what used to improvise on their instruments.
Okay.
And they use like a technique called granular synthesis, which kind of chops up a piece of music in 1,000 little pieces, and then they reconstruct that back into a new piece, and that's a completely different melody or harmony, or and they use that to kind of like make music based on that. And then you're getting into an interesting man versus machine type way of working, and that could be interesting. So I'm definitely not saying no to something like that. But
this is more interesting, like a symbiotic relationship a little bit more. You know, it's a little bit more like working together, being fed by it. It just sometimes I feel that it's kind of like you're at the mercy of it. You know what I mean? It's like that's it, that's what it is. I mean, I think maybe the next step, because for instance, I worked with. How is it called? It saved my ass. This platform. Can't believe I just forgot the name of it, and it saved me a lot of times. You feed the song, and it just gives you all the stems.
Yeah.
It's not lidar. Lidar is a completely
LaLa or LaLa.ai.
Yeah,
also
it's something.
called that. Yeah.
I can't remember right now. It's fine. I think people know what I'm talking about. But for instance, I had to write arrangements for Tina Turner, and I mean, I had to just write the entire thing out, and I need to hear the bass, I need to hear the guitar, I need to hear all of them, I need to go and transcribe it, and all of a sudden it was like, whoa, here it is. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, but it's working with me. You know, I'm not at the mercy of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I hope that it's going to get more regulated in that sense, that what you get from the engines is going to be much more in the sense of helping you cut processes instead of giving you just, that's it, that's a product.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, and then you can really work with it and play with it. What is jazz for you? How do you define jazz for you, for Danny?
What is jazz for me? Whoa, caught me off guard with that one.
I like how just what is that?
What is jazz for you? Like, tell me now.
Joao is used to it. It's fine.
Okay.
So back.
There we go. There it is.
Meaning of life. What is it?
Meaning of life. What is it? Jazz. Yeah, I guess jazz is freedom. At the same time, it's mystery to me. Maybe because sometimes I don't get it at all. Maybe most of the times I don't get it at all. I'm not a schooled musician, like I said. I don't have theoretical knowledge in that sense. I do, of course, but not to the extent of jazz musicians. So it's kind of like this mysterious thing that sometimes I don't get why it touches me or what is happening. Or and that's also kind of like the balance as a music journalist at the same time. Or I want to find out more about it. I want to get it. But at the same time, it needs to stay
naive and innocent.
Yeah, and kind of like... I also like the fact that I don't really pinpoint it or can explain it or can put it into words if I'm at a concert and there's stuff happening. And it feels kind of like I guess that's the balance, what I'm kind of like, or maybe the play that I'm most interested in, or what it means to me.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that for musicians we are chasing after the, breaking free from this innocence or naivety. And I can tell you as a crafted musician, we want to go back there at some point. Like we want to be able to listen to a piece and be touched on a deeper level that is not intellectual. That is not like listening to it. It's like, okay, I hear the bass, I hear the thing, I hear, okay, cool, sounds good. You know, just more like, whoa. Because I remember me having experiences that made me a musician were these physical experiences in the body when it came to music. I became a musician not because I was like, the way the way the bass is falling together with the bass drum, and no, it was like this coherent big thing that I would hear and like, oh my God, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like this is the greatest thing I could imagine.
Okay, you shut it down, like the intellectual side, and kind of just feel. Now you're like a trained.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's I think I feel or appreciate different types of aesthetics now. Like I can it's not that I come to it from a cold, detached place. I love music, don't get me wrong. It's like if music is put together well, like the mix is balanced and the playing is like let's say with intent and people understand, you can hear it, you know. If it's put together very well, I get a very positive response to it. Also, for highly trained musicians, the thing is sometimes we get music that we don't like, and we have to make it work. Especially for studio session musicians, and then it's a job, it's a gig, and you just do it, and then you move on. It's important to keep the balance. Also, it's important to also sometimes to stay away from. Like I can tell you, after I recorded the solo piano album, I needed a break from the piano for a long time because it was oversaturated. I've been practicing piano for, I don't know, 20 plus years, and it's like it kind of did its thing for a moment, and then all of a sudden you discover it again. You know, it's like, wow, let me feel it again.
Yeah, but maybe also to go back to that playfulness and naiveness too, right? Sometimes you have to take a little bit of distance and then go back into.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Did you know that you're going to go into music journalism at some point? Like, what was the thing that grabbed you?
Yeah, I think kind of came naturally. I think when I started Defined, which was kind of like a passion project, and from there it was kind of like it clicked. Like, oh, this is really what I want to do. But at the same time, I wasn't sure if I was gonna be able to do it. But because I joked about like being an author is not a real job, but at the same time, music journalist is also not the most. It's not the most jobs out there. Even back then, as a student, I mean, where to start? You're like fresh out of college or out of your study. I mean, you have to find your way. You have to build up your network, and you have to build up relationships and stuff like that. But I think that was when it clicked that I wanted to do it, and it definitely took me a few years to kind of get to that point. Also, we skipped a few years on my super rushed, quick introduction. But
your introduction was literally 20 seconds.
Exactly. I'm used to kind of like get to the chase, but I definitely skipped stuff. So for years, I also worked at a communications agency, which was also partly music. So there was definitely some music, but I think after a few years, I made the decision to start freelancing and go into the music journalism full time next to my passion project and the side at the agency. So it definitely took a while to get there. So it's definitely not like an easy in because it's such a relatively small world, I guess. So yeah, it definitely takes some time to get into. So the moment of getting or knowing that I wanted to do it is definitely some overlap with
What would be the advice you would give yourself from, Danny from 10 years ago? You just arrived to Amsterdam. You've been here for 10 years.
Yeah.
What would be 12. The advice with like all the experiences, all the information that you went through, that you had?
I would definitely say do more research.
What does that mean for you?
It's just funny, like looking back. Like I told you, I was editor-in-chief for a magazine back then, or like way before it even, which was also skateboarding oriented, or like board sports and music and culture. And now I'm getting back into kind of like picked up my skateboard again and did a lot of research, so more videos. And maybe that's also because lately there's way more resources and videos and online material, so it's easier to do research. Yeah. But comparing things I've written about back then with what I know now, so like I knew jack shit back then, even if I thought I knew. Also about music, I mean, just looking back, it's kind of like, but maybe that's also a sign of the times, like 15 years later, that it's easy to say, you should have known better.
Yeah, of course. Hindsight,
yeah, exactly. Like, I know much more now. Yeah, I mean, I hope so. It's 15 years later. So that's definitely one, like do better research. And yeah, right now it's easier than back then. And I guess meet people, and that's of course, I've been doing that forever and still do, but I guess that's always good, like talking to people, getting a coffee with somebody, even if it doesn't lead to something in terms of work, or it's always good to just meet new people and ping pong with ideas, or maybe just ask questions like, hey, how does this work, or how does that work, and not go too much into solo mode and trying to figure out or inventing the wheel by yourself when there's so many people who know much more than you do.
Yeah, it's basically you're talking about something that is extremely important, which is relationships. We were just talking about in the former podcast with Ian. Relationships are the number one. It's like the truest art form of us as humans. You know, how you relate to specific aspects of yourself, other people, all that. And I think that success is really defined by the quality of relationships in that sense. Do you agree with that?
To a certain extent, definitely. I mean, we also talked about the bias that certain music is pushed and certain music isn't pushed, and that goes different ways, of course. But some music is, of course, also big by means of relationships or marketing budgets or by knowing somebody inside a big label who can help you out. So it's definitely to a certain extent, even working with different musicians or different artists. Like if you know, I don't know, Makaya McCraven or Jeff Parker, and you can give him a call like, hey, do you want to record something together?
Yeah, exactly.
It's much easier than having no relationships. So to a certain extent, it's definitely a big part of making it or breaking it.
Yeah, I think, you know, we were talking also a lot about it with Joao and this thing of also the mental health in our industry. That it's a complex thing. What do you think of that?
Oh yeah, it definitely is. But also in terms of, I mean, touring is one thing, but also the music industry by itself is kind of like, also with streaming and how everything developed in the last 10-ish years. It's almost as if you have to make it. Like you have to keep pushing to be the next big thing. And I guess it's also fine. I mean, it depends on what you want and if you want to live off of it or just make music. But I guess it's also fine to maybe not make it and just have something on the side. And that depends for everybody. So that might be different for you. And of course, it's different when you make a living off of it. And it's also kind of like, then mental health is, like you said, is burning you out if you have to do everything.
I think it's also like this question of why do you want to make it? What's the, like, why?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what?
Yeah, some people might not even know they want to make it, but do you? Or is it just because you think you have to make it, because you have to chase the playlist and the streaming? And
yeah, I think, of course, every case to its own. This is not this. A lot of times, and this is also, I've been sinning in that. Also, I've seen it from colleagues of mine, very high-achieving people. We think it's going to solve our issues. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not going to solve anything. It's like, I've kind of, just personally, I kind of accomplished kind of certain dreams that I wanted. And either I became more anxious afterwards because I wanted to continue, like, it had to continue, or I was like, oh, so that's it? Like, I'm waking up in the same bed and I have, like, nothing.
Exactly, yeah.
I don't, like, nothing really changed in that sense.
Yeah, and even if you make it, you get into this new category and you will want to, I mean, it's kind of like an infinite.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like running around the carrot. How do you say the rabbit who runs around?
Yeah,
runs around the carrot.
Just running after the carrot,
right?
Like the rat race, basically. It's a rat race that doesn't end, and because it's exactly that question, you know, like, okay, if you have something on the side and then what is your relationship with your career? Again, like, is it the only thing that you're doing all the time and then your self-esteem and your self-worth is like dependent on that? Because it's a very volatile business. It's an extremely volatile business. Like it's almost like, okay, all of a sudden things blow up. Like we have things, I know that I like on a very small scale, the stuff that we post in the podcast that have thousands of views, and I'm like, I don't even understand why. I have no idea. I can tell you the most successful track in my album has 210,000 streams on Spotify. I thought it's gonna be the worst one. I had no idea I had no idea.
Exactly. And that's also the thing, you're completely relying on, we have to rely on the big tech platforms and the algorithms and whatever the algorithmic gods think about we have to do. But it can be over like the next day.
Exactly.
I was reading Mood Machine, the book by Liz Pelly, which kind of explained how the inner workings of Spotify. Super, super interesting book, by the way. But there's also a chapter about like lo-fi beat makers who were quite a big thing like 10-ish years ago. And they made like $4,000 a month. They had like a proper income through just streaming. And all of a sudden they changed like the playlist rules or the way it worked, or they also added like ghost artists and kind of like
wow, that's
overnight
so
they
fucked
completely
up,
lost their income. So I mean they had to go to the next thing, whatever tech thinks or says we have to do, but like give it a few years and then we have to move to the another one. And that relates to, I guess, mental health as well. Like you keep on running around like, oh, Facebook is the thing, oh, now it's TikTok, oh now it's before you know it is
Spotify is a data company. It's not necessarily a music. The data is music, but it's a data company.
Yeah,
I mean they siphon and hold data constantly. Now they have like AI systems that they train and all that. It's a data company. It's
there's also one thing I learned from the book. I didn't even know that it didn't start as a music company. They act like the saviors of music, but they just wanted more like revenue and data. They tried film, didn't really work, tried video, and then they settled for music because it was the cheapest type of art. And that says it all. It's kind of like they are just mining whatever is the cheapest to get the most data. Like, okay,
fucking data all day long.
Exactly. It's not the most hopeful message, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and I think that's why like it's. I mean, I could be completely wrong. What do I know? You know, I'm like swimming in this ocean that just changes every single day. But it's really your brand, your brand as a person, and who you are, like to offer what you have to offer to the world, as broad as it is, you'll be able to build like a more sustainable platform in that sense, I think. I could be completely wrong. I have no idea. Don't listen to me. But listen to me, don't listen to me. I don't know. You know, it's like I'm just happy I can continue doing the stuff I'm doing. And it's like if it will change tomorrow, then it changes. And that's why resilience also is important there. To be resilient to changes.
Yeah, definitely.
What would be your advice to new artists trying to break now into the market, trying to put their signature?
Yeah, I guess it's twofold. One thing about what we just talked about, like you definitely have to keep track of, like if you want to make it or if you want to get into music business, definitely also try to educate yourself on what's going on. Like just don't chase the Spotify streams if you don't know how it works or what's the point or are there different directions. So definitely educate yourself about the inner workings of the music industry. Also by talking to people and learning from people who made mistakes before you. And at the same time, and then maybe be a bit paradoxical, but also just go for it or just do it. You can definitely overthink it, or you can sit on your album for a few years. And I'm also talking to people, and I don't want to kill the naivety, but sometimes like, oh yeah, finish my album. And that's musicians who never release something yet. And they are like, oh yeah, I'm going to contact Warp Records or Stone's Throw or XL, like the big guns. I mean, it's good to aim high, but at the same time, it's also a little bit, you might as well just go for it first, release something, kind of get a feel of how the music industry works, and from there build up to giving a Stone's Throw call instead of going there and then being burned out if it doesn't work.
Totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Totally.
And at the same time, artists would just don't release it because of insecurities or not sure where to start or like, oh, is this good enough? Or I would say just release it and get a feel, build your audience, and go from there. I mean, if you're a creator, if you're a musician, you want to create more music, I would assume so. So it's not just that album and then it's done. I mean, you want to create something new, so just start with that and you will create something better. And what we just said about in 10 years time, you will have more experience, more knowledge. So you will get better by doing it, by practicing like Coltrane, I guess.
Absolutely. Consistency is king.
Exactly, yeah. So just start, just release it. Don't think about it too much. And at the same time, get a feel and learn through releasing and just through doing it.
Yeah, this is something that also we always have this conversation with musicians. It's like you make it and you've created it, but at some point when you release it, it's like your contract with the world. Then it's out there, and then you see really what it does.
Yeah.
You never know. You can't be in your own little hut of your mind and think, oh yeah, if I do this, it's gonna be perfect. Because you're also changing as a human.
Yeah.
And once you bring it out, it's kind of like, oh, I can let it go. I can grow from it. You know, because it's also like a moment in time for yourself. I listened to like my first album and brought it out in 2015, and I listened to it and I'm like, wow, I grew so much back since then. But if I would still sit on it and try to change it, and it will just be like horrible, oversaturated.
Yeah,
like I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now if I wouldn't release all these albums and try and make mistakes. Some albums are shit, some this, it's like horrible. Doesn't matter. It's a moment in time, you know.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like you said, you can never think about what's gonna be the big song or the least performing one, especially because you're so invested in what you're making. It's kind of hard to see it clearly. So it definitely needs others or like new listeners or to kind of learn or.
Awesome. Is there any events? This is going to come out in 2.5 weeks. Are there any events you want to tell about? Something that's happening, new artists, something?
Yeah, by then the new album by The Expert will drop. So that's the thing, like on my label, Vivid Visions. That's kind of like his magnum opus, working with 21 rappers, which was kind of like this big project. Took a long time, and he's been meaning to make an album like this for I think the last 10 years, and now he did it. So yeah, really excited about that. Just got the vinyl record, so that's also why it's top of mind.
Nice.
So that's dropping.
It's a pity you didn't bring it. Oh.
Yeah, I could have showed it.
Exactly.
Like do some sales pitching and stuff. Yeah,
sure.
Miss but you can use AI to kind of like.
No, but we can probably put like a thing in the. I mean, Joao doesn't like to do it, but
Joao like the record cover, like doing this, and like animated.
You can support us here or here or here.
Like, subscribe, leave a comment.
Glitter.
Yeah, please. And the record from my eyes. Yeah, we'll make something happen. So yeah, that's the thing. We're not really live events. I mean, if you mean from my, or just in general,
just whatever it is you want to plug. Like it's you have the platform now to do it. You know.
Yeah, that's one that comes to mind. Haarlem Vinyl Festival is taking place for people looking for new things to visit. We're making vinyl, like a conference based about vinyl manufacturing.
When is that?
End of September.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's right around when this drops.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. Also, the conference side about manufacturing. It's also very interesting to learn more about the inner workings of that side of things in the mysterious world called the music industry.
The volatile fucking world.
Exactly.
So volatile. If it was a stock, it will be like 100% minus 2,000.
Yeah.
Like it's like, what is going on here? Like, it's just what? Why?
Exactly. And still, we're investing in music all the time, like
because it's such a powerful thing. Music is so
powerful. It is. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's one of these things that I've seen with my own eyes that people can religiously hate each other or this, and you put a piece of music and something just in them changes. You know, it heals them, changes them, also corrupts, also this, it has these polarities in it, you know, the ability to heal and destroy, you know. It's a very powerful, magical thing.
It is, definitely. Completely
Danny,
agreed.
Thank you so much for doing this podcast. Thank you for joining us for this hour and 15 minutes, I think. Hour and 10 minutes.
Okay. Sweet. Damn. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's like an album, man. Hour and 10 minutes.
Time flies. Yeah, good times.
Thank you so much for joining us here to Into the Score. You know what you need to do. Like, subscribe, follow us. Just become a part of this movement that is happening here. Become a part of the dozens of people that are listening to us. We love you. We're going to see you at the next one.